Greetings, starseeds and inhabitants of planet Earth. My name is Sasha and I operate the Joyful Aishan's Portal. The Joyful Aishan's Portal is a gateway for you to access your highest self and manifest your deepest desires. You can visit my website, joyfulaishansportal.space, to find out more on how I can help you manifest your deepest desires. You can also find me on Facebook and Instagram at Joyful Aishan's Portal. Like this video if you like content like this, and subscribe to my channel already if you haven't. If you're already a subscriber, thank you so much for being here on our spiritual journey together. In today's video, I want to talk about what is targeting. Is there a difference between being sought out by the hunters, the watchers, and is there a difference between being guided by who I call the gatekeepers? And that kind of is the giveaway for this video, because some people see targeting as only a negative experience, meaning that as you're awakening on your journey, targeting occurs because you're doing something wrong. And for me, what I've experienced is that targeting occurs because you're on your path. And because you are, I don't want to say you're being tested. I would liken it to being given the opportunity to face your fears and press through them. You know, it's a rite of passage at times, targeting, because it will test your faith, but it is not the universe testing you. It is you testing you. And that isn't to say that you're attracting negative experiences. It's to say that on your spiritual path, you are progressing, and so you are able to let go of more of these negative emotions that may be deeply rooted. And when they come to the surface to be released, you may experience what can be called targeting. Now, I mentioned the gatekeepers, and this goes back to where I had received a comment that said something along the lines of targeting means you're off your path and you're disconnected from spirit, God's source. And for me, you know, if that's true for you, that's true for you. What is true for me is that there are people, experiences, situations in your life that act as gatekeepers. And it's simply to say that sometimes you're on your path, you're doing great, and you're ready to take next steps, but it's not time. And so the gatekeepers step in to say, not right now. Yes, but not right now. And that's when we get an opportunity to step back and pause, recollect, reassess, and go within again and say, okay, if I will not do this right now, what can I do within me to further myself on my spiritual journey? And this is always a good place to be. And it's a sign from the universe that you are on your path, because rather than taking on more experiences and situations, you are given the opportunity to clean house and make sure that you're ready. Make sure that you're actually preparing yourself for your future self, your future now self. And so targeting can be good or bad. And for me, in the past, I experienced it negatively because I was unaware. I didn't know. I didn't even know I was going through a spiritual awakening. I just understood that from my Christian and pagan backgrounds, there was a lot of energy going on, there was a lot of magic happening, and there was a lot of elements of light and dark being combined. And I couldn't explain it. I didn't quite understand it. I was just witnessing it all and experiencing it. And because I didn't have enough background on these esoteric, higher dimensional understandings of the law of the universe, I was more afraid, because also I was a little more paranoid at the time. I was using a lot of marijuana and alcohol, and not in a way that was helping me. If they help you, they help you. And for me, I was trying to tune out the messages from the universe because I was overwhelmed. I didn't know how to interpret them. I didn't know who to ask for help because the people in my life didn't have knowledge on those topics. And so I was stuck. I felt stuck anyway because I didn't know how to move forward. I didn't want to go within. And so I used other altering substances to tune out the messages from the universe. And a lot of times it really didn't even work. It didn't matter. And that's why eventually I gave it all up, because if I couldn't relax, if I couldn't tune out, if I couldn't turn it off, what was the point? I might as well just listen to what the universe had to say. And my life got so much easier after that. And so to give an example of interacting with a gatekeeper, I remember years and years and years ago where I was consuming marijuana more regularly and very heavily. I was pretty much stoned all the time, as often as possible. Sorry. I don't know why that's funny to me, but that's just what I did. That was how I was moving around. That's how I was processing or not processing. And so I went into the city one day. I was on my way to visit a loved one. And I stopped at this Jamaican restaurant. And all day I had been in this emotional turmoil. And I didn't know, like, my resounding feeling was like, I don't know who I am. I don't know what's going on. And I walked into the restaurant and I went to place my order, but I don't think I actually bought any food. If I did, I just bought my order, but I feel like as I was getting it or something, the man at the counter looked me in the eye and he said, "But are you being true?" And I ran out of there. I ran so fast, as you can when you're just walking and pretending to be normal. You know, I didn't answer him. I just looked at him like, is God talking to me right now? Because I'm trying not to listen. And so God went to where I was. And this person who I did not know, never seen before in my life, I never even went back to that restaurant because I happened across it. God spoke through them to me, and that changed my life significantly because I walked back to my car, what the kids nowadays say, shook. Like it was like walking into a brick wall of truth, you know, because this person who I've never seen before just saw right through me and said, "But are you being true?" And in that moment when I ran, I was like, no, I'm not. I don't know how to be true. And that became my quest. That became my journey. And I was never the same. And I started making changes, you know. I started meditating more. I started paying attention to not paying attention in my meditation. You know, I used to get really focused, and I'm a former perfectionist. So I was really focused on doing everything right. I wanted my meditation to be perfect. And if it wasn't the way that I defined as perfect, I was upset with it. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't want to do it, etc. And I treated everything in my life that way, which is why I felt a lot of frustration, and I experienced what I perceived as negative experiences more often because I was judging every experience as not good enough. So I had to change all that. I had to let it all go, and it started that day. And I had a number of other experiences like that. And so for me, like, some would say that was targeting to scare me, but for me it was, and you know, they might say it was because I was off the path or something along those lines, but I wasn't off the path. I was on the path, and they were holding the mirror to say, "Where's your center? Who are you?" And I have to, we all need to remind ourselves from time to time who we are, where we are, what we're doing, what our purpose is. Do we have a mission? Are we fulfilling it? Our highest calling to be our highest self. That's all our mission right now. And that was one of the first times somebody redirected me and, gave me that encouragement to go within. So targeting can be frightful. A lot of times it can be scary, but I recall another thing that changed my life and helped me greatly was watching the cartoon series Avatar. And at some, this child who's going to be a little guru, Buddha, something along those lines, he's going to become the avatar, which means he's going to be the master of the elements, water, air, fire, earth. And I forget which element it was. You practice all these things and then you face a trial, the gatekeeper. Are you really ready to progress onto the next stage? And one of these elements, the gatekeeper, the test, was to stare like something really scary in the face and not be moved. And I had been waiting my whole life to see how to do that, basically. And so I watched this cartoon where this kid stood face to face with their greatest fear and just blinked and didn't react. And then I kind of learned a lot from that, and I began, doing other things, and among them was drinking more tea, herbal teas that weren't caffeinated. And the yogi teas have the little, I think traditional medicinals have sayings too, but the yogi teas used to be the ones that had the sayings. And there was one that I looked at one day that says, act, don't react. And that became my goal, was to act and not react, to not be influenced by the external situations and circumstances, and to choose how I act in every moment, to be here now in every moment, to be myself in every moment. And so I greatly appreciate every opportunity that I have to reaffirm myself, to reestablish my grounding, my footing on this 3D plane as we transition to the 5D, which is now here. And that's why there's a lot of upset, there's a lot of physical and energetic upheaval, because the worlds are merging. And so there may be people who are afraid, who are choosing to project their fear onto you. That doesn't mean they're targeting you either. That just means that they see your light and something is drawing them to it. It means they know there's something more to life than their fear. And so it's your job, whatever you want to call that, it's kind of your responsibility as a being of light to shine the light fearlessly with the power of dear, unconditional love, and that unblinking steadfastness in truth, love, peace, harmony, joy, bliss, third eye consciousness. So that's my video on what targeting is. You can ask me any questions below. I love answering questions and comments and making videos in response. So thank you for the opportunity, and I will see you in the next video. Peace and gratitude.